Hello and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Northeast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, checking out temperatures across the region, we've got a strong cold front making its way from west to east across the Corn Belt right now, across the central U.S., really stretching from the Canadian Prairie down to the Texas Panhandle, with 50s and 60s ahead of that front, 20s and teens, even some single digits in the Intermountain West. Looming behind it, but this front going to wash out as it makes its way across the eastern Corn Belt and not really going to bring much of an impact here to the Northeast region. So you look at the satellite picture here, we're still seeing this major storm churning off the coast. It'll continue to bring some precipitation to northern portions of the Northeast region, but the impact's beginning to fade across the remainder of the region. We'll take a look at that here in just a moment. No advisories in effect across the inland areas of the Northeast right now. We do have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in effect across the northern plains into the central plains. And we'll take a look at the reason for that. Again, it's that front beginning to pull away. We're seeing the precipitation weakening across this region, but this is where we saw some heavier snow, some freezing rain, some ice accumulations, and some strong winds associated with that storm system. We'll turn our attention to the northeast, though, and again, you see that rain shower activity making its way off the north side of that storm system off the coast. And again, it'll be a blustery, rainy day across much of the northeast region as we head through our Friday. The precipitation begins to wane as we head through Friday night, perhaps still seeing some showers across coastal areas, but by the time we get to midday on Saturday, we should be seeing the more significant precipitation exiting the area. Still just possible we could see some cloud cover, some looming light mist or drizzle associated with the backside of that storm system. Now the frontal boundary that's making its way across the Corn Belt begins to push in as we get into Sunday morning, but we're going to see really a lot of the moisture being kind of taken out of the system, seeing a lot of the wet definition in that front being kind of washed out by the time we get to this point. So once again, we're looking at some spotty light showers and maybe a gloomy light mist, but not talking about any real significant focused precipitation, though we do have the potential for that as we get to the end of next week. So we'll look at the cold front trying to make its way across. Again, very cold on the backside right now, but as we get into Saturday and Sunday, we start to warm the region behind the front, helping kind of weaken that. So while it is going to be a cool and gloomy kind of weekend across the Northeast, we're not going to see that really bitterly cold air make its way in like you might otherwise expect with a look like this on Friday. Take a look at the winds here again, seeing those winds out of the northwest, out of the north-northwest associated with that storm system, or I'm sorry, the north-northeast across the Northeast region today as that storm system begins to pull away. But we'll see those winds weaken as we head into the later part of the weekend. So total precipitation between now and Sunday morning, again, seeing this front begin to weaken as it makes its way off to the east, those precipitation impacts becoming much lighter across the eastern Corn Belt and the Great Lakes. We look at the precipitation across the northeast, though, coming off the backside of that storm system, seeing anywhere from a half inch to maybe spotty inch amounts here across parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, eastern portions of Massachusetts, and then maybe some of the higher elevations here in Maine. Could be some of the areas that see some of the more significant precipitation, but elsewhere, much of New York, Pennsylvania, Jersey, getting down into Maryland, we're talking about a few tenths of an inch to maybe as much as a half an inch in some local areas. We'll take a look at the winds once again. We already did cover that. Let's look at the upper level pattern, what's driving that. And it's going to be this area of high pressure focused across the Hudson Bay, parted back into the Northwest Territories that's going to kind of force a northwest to southeast storm track, and that's going to bring some chances for precipitation back to the Northeast region in a more significant fashion as we get to the end of next week. And then our attention is going to turn to the cutoff low here across portions of the southeast. When does this one, or the southwest, I apologize, make its way across from west to east? When does it get picked up by the subtropical jet stream? We can look at that here again. Again, our area of high pressure will be spinning away across this region, and you'll see that it doesn't look all that robust when you look at the actual flow of the jet stream. And there you see that clockwise flow setting up right there as we get into Monday and Tuesday of next week. Here's our next kind of major wave that's going to it's going to be forced off to the south, making its way across the Great Lakes and then into the Northeast. This is our cutoff low that begins to kind of spin and meander around this region, and then question marks as far as when does that get ejected across the southern U.S. and then potentially into parts of the Northeast. So we'll take this into early next week. Here's our first wave getting kind of tugged south across the Great Lakes into the Northeast region as we get into Thursday and Friday. We'll look at the precipitation impacts with this in a moment. And then here's our cutoff low, still continuing to spin away. When does it get picked up by the subtropical jet stream? Right now, the European model has it getting ejected out across the U.S. here on Saturday, Sunday of next week. Whether that's accurate, we'll have to just continue and watch day by day. We're seeing shifts and changes in the way that this is handled. each and every model run. Again, this is just something that it's going to struggle with until we get a little bit closer. So let me go ahead and take the drawings off and just watch the evolution once again. Noting our key features, high pressure to the north, watching that first system come in from the south, or from the northwest. My directions are all kinds of turned around this Friday morning. I'll keep sipping the coffee and we'll make it through. And then watching for this system to get picked up by the subtropical jet stream across the south. So we'll hit play. Let's go ahead and just watch this animate. Here comes the first wave. And then there comes the upper level wave getting picked up, or the cutoff low getting picked up by the subtropical jet stream. Watch it once again. Alright, so what is the precipitation impact of that? What's a little more intuitive look? Well, again, we see the precipitation coming out of the northeast with that system off the coast as we head through the day today, really waning, but maybe leaving us with a gloomy and drizzly rest of the weekend, especially as that frontal boundary approaches from the west on Sunday. We'll continue to see relatively quiet weather across the northeast Monday and Tuesday, but then we're going to start to see these waves potentially pushing in from the northwest. What their exact track is, once again, as we get into the 5 to 10 day time frame, seeing these details shift with each run. Right now, it looks like we could maybe even bring a little snow into portions of Pennsylvania, but of course we'll just watch this as we get into Monday and Tuesday morning. This would be the first shot of more significant precipitation across the northeast, certainly though, as we get into Wednesday. Taking it a bit further, we see another wave come in on the backside, potentially on Thursday, and then we're going to turn our attention to the southwest as this next wave begins to push in as we get to potentially Saturday and Sunday. And again, the location, the timing, the amount of cold air off to the north, that's going to make a big change, a big difference in whether or not we see potentially some snow across the northeast region as we get into the 7 to 10 day time frame. What happens with our temperatures? Well, again, we start off with a look that says, well, we're going to see some colder air spilling into the Corn Belt in the northeast, but that simply is not the case as this front begins to wash out as we head through the weekend. So keeping warmer than average temperatures across the northeast as we head into the early to middle part of next week. But then with that area of high pressure off to the north and that northwest flow coming in around the backside, we may just see some colder air try to sneak in as we get into the middle and later part of next week. But we'll have to watch that one closely, again, checking back with details as we get into early next week. So just finishing off with a look at the high temperatures over the next 5 days, 40s and 50s for many for the day today. That'll be the same story on Saturday and Sunday, potentially with some clouds and some light precipitation across the region, so maybe not the best weekend across the northeast region. We will start to warm up, though, as we head into Monday and Tuesday, with high temperatures in the 60s to near 70 across portions of the southwest. I'm talking about Pennsylvania, Maryland, getting into Delaware, and those 60s expanding well off to the north into portions of upstate New York, maybe even portions of Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine tapping into some of those as well. Have a great day, a wonderful weekend, and we will talk to you again on Monday morning.